Code of Harmony by Osnadirtha. Chapter 5. The investigation begins. A loud, mechanical shriek echoes through the streets, a shriek which escaped from the ambulance driving down the road. All cars in front of it part their ways, letting it go past them as it drove freely forward, its blue sirens glowing up the city even in the bright, midsummer afternoon. Inside of it, Jotaro Kujo sits quietly, brooding to himself. He was uncooperative, not answering in how he was so badly injured, or how his companions also seemed to be knocked out, but not visibly hurt as well. The doctors suspect that the two are some random drunks who knew each other, having gotten into a fight at a nearby pub or restaurant. It wasn't uncommon. Chavs and thugs of the streets roamed quite freely, so anything else could happen as well. During the chatter of the doctors, Jotaro slowly closes his eyes and begins to drift off, and suddenly he arrives at the sky in Cairo. Or did he ever leave it at all?
Jotaro, could you see me back there?
Nani, what am I doing here? Dio, bastard, it has to be a dream. That voice, it sounds so distant, yet so close to me.
Jotaro, I asked you if you could see me back there.
Shit, I need to get away. I could have sworn I was just fighting. No, snap out of this. Snap out of this now, Jotaro.
Jotaro.
This asshole ruined my entire family. Even if this is just an apparition in my mind, I want to get rid of it. Stop!
Jotaro, we really are the same. Your personality truly mirrors mine.
What?
This was new. He never said anything like that, not in his past and not in his dreams. Nothing like this ever occurred to him. Usually it was just constant worry. The last time Stans got meddled into his family life, he almost lost his mother, his grandfather, and already lost half of his friends. And that blonde British man was to blame for it. The man whose grin pierces and envelops his mind, his maniacal teeth sinking into his neck, metaphorically every time he closes his eyes. His cold, dead skin still felt in his left hand, as cold as a corpse. And yet the words that the man spoke, the vehement acid that he spewed, the mere sight of which makes any normal, sane man throw up, those same words had a layer of comfort and warmth to them. Jotaro was taken aback at how the scene suddenly changes. Dio was no longer throwing a flurry of knives at him, or stopping time in order to gloat about his new power. Every time he stopped time, Jotaro would feel and see it, of course, but it was so small that Jotaro mistook it for tiredness and needing to sleep more until his grandfather Joseph died right in front of him, as he was completely unable to help him at all. It was too late to do anything at that point. He despised the man with every single atom of his being. And yet, why did his words make sense? No. They didn't at all. This could all be explained. It had to be, Jotaro thought. There was no way that everything that was happening in his brain could be so wrong. The logical conclusion would be his own human psychology. In programming languages, a method known as decomposition exists. This allows people to break down a huge problem into more easily dealt with, smaller problems. This had to be the natural case for Jotaro's mind. As much as he hates to admit it out loud, he had to confront his feelings somehow, whether it was in his own brain or physically. No one could interrupt him but himself. This, therefore, is a perfect opportunity in order to reflect during one of those very rare moments of peace. And upon a small amount of reflection, Dio's visage slowly crumbles into dust, just as much as Dio's body crumbled on the bright morning rays of the Egyptian sun. The cause of all this, evidently, was a large amount of stress. This stress arrived from having to suffer through another stand battle, and it started with the dead shipmates. Whilst he did not know all of them personally, death like that triggered something in his brain. He remembered Geb and Endul. He remembered Dio and his infamous The World. He didn't think he would have to suffer through another traumatic experience on this mission. It didn't seem all that important, just like a reconnaissance mission or retrieval, reports of a mask and a bizarre intruder on the premises of the Joestar mansion. But this strange intruder clearly wasn't just an accidental tourist or an abandoned house seeker, if there was even one. The reports near the area was growing quite hazy and it was hard to decipher information. But if they did exist, it was someone with a plan. Someone who was out to get Jotaro, but it didn't seem to be a direct attack. If it was, then he wouldn't have been attacked by Bad Day via whoever it was who ordered the attack. The Path Changer, perhaps? This was a perplexing mystery, a conundrum which Jotaro's mind needs to solve before it's too late. Thomas Soprano was an Englishman. He was being attacked on the English lands. The unknown sender of the message could watch him from the harbour. This means that he was being followed. He had to be. And if he was being followed, he had to be prepared.
Sir? Excuse me? Oh, thank goodness he's waking up finally.
Jotaro slowly opens his eyes to find himself in a hospital bed. Lying down and with a few doctors around him, he sits up and looks around.
Where is...
Oh, steady there, sir. Please, do not worry. Your friend is being treated and checked right now. So far, he seems to be fine, but you have suffered a concussion, so I do suggest for you to lay down. Your left hand also seems to be covered in peculiarly acid burns, which is unlike any kind of drunkard story that I've seen, so please do indulge and describe to me when I come back and have your report. After you have been treated, of course, you can give us an account of what you have saw and what you remember and what happened, so we can file the proper reports to the management.
Fine.
Jotaro lays back in bed, grunting to himself as he makes himself comfortable. He had 16 hours to arrive at the Joestar mansion. Plenty of time to recover. He'll have to take it easy though. About a week's time to recover from the concussion at a minimum is what he's heard from health professionals, usually, when he gets into these kinds of situations. But recovery will have to wait. What catches Jotaro's eye next sends chills throughout his body. Right outside of the room window, a man glares straight at Jotaro with a killer aura surrounding him. A man which, Jotaro could feel, was definitely a Stan user. One whose deadly energy Jotaro could feel through the man's intent.